Hi, Timothy, and welcome to the Bridlen Podcast.
Thanks, Affan, for having me.
Glad to see you again on a video call and soon to be seeing you in Singapore itself.
Yes.
So, since we launched off at your store at Singapore, you had quite a few clients writing to us to know about what is Seamless Bespoke, what do they do, how come we're now in Singapore. And so I thought it's a good idea for us to get on a call, record this, and then our customers know for it themselves. So I'm going to start off by asking you the very, very basic questions, right? Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you kind of ended up in the menswear space, please.
So for me, previously, before I was working at Seamless Bespoke, I was just an enthusiast. And before I got into bespoke tailoring, I was actually very interested in shoes. My dad introduced me to James Bond when I was a young boy,
Okay.
and I was very fascinated by the clothing in which he dressed.
That's very interesting.
What got me into menswear, but shoes specifically is because of my grandfather. So my grandfather was a banker, and he used to tell me about the shoes that he would wear, and the brands that he wore were actually Churches and Allen Edmonds.
Okay.
So Goodyear belted shoes, and he was always telling me about how these shoes actually last him till now, and he still wears them. And so that got me fascinated, and then I started to collect shoes. I used to buy secondhand shoes on eBay or those kind of secondhand websites. I remember I had a few pairs of English shoes like Carmina, Alfred Sargent, and then from there I slowly got into like suits and shirts and
That's very nice.
and the rest of the
That's very nice. So,
my journey.
so your inspiration started off with the family, but it really was James Bond that pushed you in the direction of menswear, I suppose. Good to know that both your father and your grandfather introduced you to menswear. And then you sort of ended up at Seamless Bespoke. At Seamless Bespoke, you do, well, besides shoes, of course, you do bespoke wear, as the name suggests. But I understand more recently you also do made to order and ready to wear.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what else Seamless Bespoke does besides the shoes, obviously?
So for us, we started off as a bespoke tailor, basically specializing in suits, sports jackets, safari jackets, shirts and trousers. But we saw there was an opportunity in the space for good, well-made shoes. Back then, when we opened about 10 years ago, there aren't as many options as we have now in the local market in Singapore. And so we brought in Yanko, we brought in brands like Enzo Banafe, which were quite new. Goodyear belted shoes weren't that popular back then. People had to buy them from overseas, but locally you couldn't really get them. So for us, yes, our core business is still tailoring, and it's complemented by our shoe retail business
Okay,
also.
okay, that's interesting. One of the brands that really caught my attention, and I know of them from a while ago, is Yanko. I'm also curious to understand how you guys came around the brand, because it is one of the brands that my mentor, Mr. Watanabe, started off with many decades ago. Was it the Yanko and the Yanko factory itself? And I know they used to make very good shoes. I don't know much about them. It's not so popular outside of Asia, I would say. Good to see you guys still carry it.
In fact, they're one of our best-selling brands and have been a staple for a lot of our customers. I think how we got about it, my previous partner, who has since left our business, but he knew of the reputation and the quality of Yanko shoes for the price. And so we used to source them from overseas, but then now we contacted the business, and they allowed us to be a retailer for them, and we have had a very strong relationship with them. So we've been carrying them for more than 7-8 years already, and they seem to fit our local clientele quite well, because their lasts are on the generous side.
That's correct.
And so that fits our local profile of the feet quite well.
Very good. And that brings me to what I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the local context of be it shoes or fitting or generally styling in Singapore and in the Asian context. I think this is a lot for us to, and our clients also, to learn a little bit from you. So what is the kind of general, let's say, the Singaporean gentleman, the kind of clientele that comes to you? What are the kind of clients that come to you? How do they dress? They obviously are coming for you for the jackets, the suits, safari jackets, as you said, shirts and trousers. But what's the kind of dressing? Is it more formal, more casual, very tropical? The weather requires that. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
So we have a whole wide spectrum of customers, but generally they do come, when they come to our shop, a lot of them are either making suits for the first time, so they're going to get married, or they are guests at a wedding, and so they would need something rather formal, in a navy or a dark gray or charcoal gray. But we also have the enthusiasts who try different tailors or who have experience with tailoring, and they tend to be a bit more creative in their commissions. So we do a lot of sports jackets. In fact, I think nowadays we do more sports jackets than suits, even though we still do a lot of suits. But because of the changing work environment, whereby a lot of people are moving towards a flexible working environment, not many people have to wear suits anymore to work. And in fact, something like a safari jacket with a t-shirt inside or a polo shirt is smart enough for their working environment.
That's correct.
And so we do a lot of safari jackets, a lot of sports jackets, unlined of course, for our weather.
Yes, that's helpful.
Because it's not easy to wear men tailoring in our weather.
I do see in Singapore and in Hong Kong as well that men still dress very smartly with at least a jacket when they go out in the evenings. I guess most often than not it's unlined. And I'm curious because you kind of style your clients. So how do you style their shoes along with the kind of garments that you've just mentioned now, be it colors or fabrics or fabrics with the kind of leathers? What's your recommendation? How do you go about that?
For me personally, I'm quite a conservative dresser. I love tradition, and so if they're going for a three-piece suit, a double-breasted suit, I would generally steer them towards the direction of an Oxford, a classic black capto, like the one that we carry. The Bridlen punch capto would be very smart. Something like a whole cut would be very nice for a very formal suit. But given that we also have a lot of clients who are doing cotton trousers, doing linen trousers, that's where we will steer them towards something more casual, like loafers, something like a Belgian loafer, which has very verblick stitch, very thin. Those seem to be very popular with our clients. In fact, because a lot of our clients, in Singapore, we are very used to cemented shoes. They like shoes that are very plush, and so for a lot of clients, it takes a while to convince them to go for a Goodyear welted pair of shoes, which generally has this stiffer kind of feeling at the start before you break them in. A lot of them may not be used to that kind of stiffness at the start.
Correct. So you'd say that the Singapore client is more used to sort of having comfort first in their mind.
Yes.
So it requires a little bit of information. Once they know that the shoe kind of breaks in, it's just a matter of time. After that, it becomes very comfortable.
Correct.
They would look towards buying something that's Goodyear welted. But there's another aspect of Asian culture I think you kind of alluded to, which is loafers. I don't know if this is so much true in Singapore, but in India, people prefer to wear loafers also because they need to take off and on their footwear quite a few times in the day. There are certain people in their offices that they have to take off their footwear to enter the space. And I know this is also true in Japan. Though in Japan, they have a nice place to sit down and a shoe horn kept in place, so people still wear lace-ups. They might take it on and off 2 or 3 times a day, but that does not put them off wearing lace shoes. How is it in Singapore? Loafers were popular, more than I thought lace-ups. Am I right in that observation?
I would say so. Nowadays, based after COVID, we do sell quite a few loafers as compared to traditional lace-ups. I think for Singapore, we are quite westernized, so I don't think many people actually do have to remove their shoes midday unless they are going to a temple, or maybe they're going to a church where they will require you to remove the shoes. But for us, it's more of rushing to work. So a lot of us, we take the public transport. Not everyone drives to work, and so there's often a rush out of the house, to get to work on time. And so a lot of our clients have feedback to us that they love loafers because they're easy to wear. They don't really need to sit down and lace them up. They just kind of put them on, and I always have to tell them to please use a shoe horn, which a lot of them don't. So sometimes we get customers bring back shoes where the heel counter is quite worn in, the heel area. Yeah.
That's another aspect in which I tell some of my clients that if you tend to walk a lot, and what you mentioned about Singapore as a society tends to take the public transport more than they drive into work, which means they'll have to walk from home to the public transport point if it's a bus or an MRT in the case of Singapore, and then from there at the end at the other side to their office or wherever else they're going, which means there's a lot of walking every day, which means they're doing a lot of miles, more than, let's say, in India, where most people would either drive to work if they're wearing Goodyear welted shoes. In these places, when they are doing miles, I actually recommend them to wear lace-ups because it gives you more support, so to speak. Loafers are great, I say, if you're walking shorter distances, also if you have to remove your footwear, which is the case in India. In these circumstances, like customers in Tokyo or in London, they also take a lot of public transport. And they tell me that the lace-up shoes tend to give them more support and is more comfortable through the day. But in Singapore, they just want to jump into their loafers and jump out of it as soon as they come home, I suppose.
Yes, but that's the part for us. We are, as evangelists and educators of style and menswear. We try to educate our customers about these upsides of shoes like Oxfords. Yeah, I totally agree with you. For myself, I personally still enjoy wearing Oxfords a lot. Though I understand why some people we love our loafers too. So I think it's there is room for both.
I agree, and there's another thought I wanted to get your thought on this concept, which is unlined shoes, right? For us, it's quite popular, but it's the same thing, similar thing that comes into consideration, which is an unlined shoe doesn't give you as much support. It's less structured like an unlined jacket, but it is much nicer for the weather. So which is why I suppose we sell quite a lot of our unlined shoes and unlined loafers in India. But then there's a balance. There's a balance which is you're not going to get the same structure and the same support as you would in a cap to Oxford made of box calf leather.
Correct.
Do you see in Singapore that people are tending more towards unlined shoes like they are for their jackets, where they like to keep it unlined?
I think it really depends on the client. So people who tend to be very experienced or have some knowledge about menswear, they would be gravitating towards different alternative kinds of footwear such as unlined loafers. We have seen some of the major brands have now started to introduce unlined models in their collection. But I think for the average consumer, it will still take a bit more of education. In fact, a lot of our customers do not even know that we can unline jackets.
Uh-huh.
So they still think that a jacket should be fully lined, and then it's for us to educate them, to tell them of the upsides of unlining their jackets so that the air can go in and out, and you don't feel so warm when you're wearing a jacket like in this kind of temperature.
Right. The last time I was there, I remember you were wearing one of your, I think it was a linen jacket, fully linen. So it was an evening. We had a nice fireside chat.
Yes.
It was a light color. It has almost that kind of tropical romanticism around it. Light colored linen jacket with linen trousers. I really like that look with suits. It reminds me very much of the kind of 60s where in Singapore you have a slow fan running in the background, sitting out by the veranda, and gentlemen with their cigars or white or off-white linen jackets and their spectator shoes. I don't
Yes.
think I don't think you see much of that anymore. But you were wearing one of those suits, and that was very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my go-tos. It's actually a oatmeal Irish linen jacket. So which some people do it as a suit, but for me I did it as a sports jacket. And how I often pair it is I will wear a pair of wool trousers for a smart look, but nothing too formal. So smart, but also relaxed and good for our weather. So I love my linens. I love my high twist wools, and I prefer to go for heavier weight actually. Uh, Contrary to some people that might think that the heavy weight isn't good, but for me I like that body of the fabric.
Gives a better fall. Yeah.
Correct. And so that's why I gravitate those Irish linens for my jackets personally.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the jacket you're wearing right now, please? It looks quite nice.
So this is a last cut length. Some my partners, they went to England, and they saw some last cut length from Duckdale, and I believe this is a wool linen blend.
A wool linen.
A wool linen blend. It's in a French blue, so something that you can wear with chinos, white jeans, but also can be dressed up with a pair of grey trousers. It's actually from our ready-to-wear collection, and it fit me well, so I just grabbed one for myself.
Well, now that I want you to expand a little bit about your ready-to-wear line, because I didn't know you had this when I was in Singapore. Next time I'm there, I'd like to get something from your ready-to-wear line. Is that something you guys sell a lot of, or is it a smaller kind of capsule collection, the ready-to-wear?
It's a small collection. Why we got this ready-to-wear line in is because we realized that some of our clients from overseas were just in for a few days, and they came by our shop and they couldn't have the time to commission a bespoke suit, but they want something with the style that we advocate for. And so, having been overseas, we saw some nice fabrics, some wools from England, from the merchants that we work with closely, and we made up some jackets, half canvas, very light on the shoulders, something good for our weather. And we have been selling quite a few of them. They come in your standard sizes from 34 up to 52. 44 up to 52.
That's the exact reason why I want to look at your ready-to-wear line, because I'm going to be in and out of Singapore in 3 days. It's not enough time to make a suit for me. Last time around, we had a lovely reception, because that was the day we were launching the brand in Singapore, and the day after we had the trunk show itself. So you know what we're going to be doing this time as well, right? We're going to be launching the custom service, as we're calling it. This was honestly because of the demand while we were at your show, and then after as well, where you told me that a lot of your clients were asking for swatch books, and they wanted to commission a bespoke, close to bespoke. It's not really bespoke. It's made to order really. So you wanna talk to the customers, or shall I tell them a little bit about how this the custom service works?
Maybe you can explain, since
Okay. So last time around we came around with some shoes, and obviously at Seamless Bespoke itself we have a ready-to-wear collection. But the idea with the custom service is, by now you know a lot of clients who are happy with the quality, but perhaps they don't have you don't have the correct color that they're looking for, or there's a certain element to it that they'd like to have changed. So while I'm here this time, as somebody who's coming from the factory itself, I'm able to help them through that process, to say, yes, this leather would be nice unlined, this one I don't recommend you to do it unlined, perhaps with the suede, this kind of a sole is better because it's more flexible than, let's say, an oak bark tanned sole. So it's to kind of guide them through the process. That's why it's called the custom service. It's not so much an ordering process, which you can obviously do after I leave as well. So we're launching this off of London, and then the second stop where we're doing it is at yourselves. The custom service is only available at the moment at the London store and now at your store. So we're kind of excited to have to launch this at two locations which are quite dear to me. It's the 18th of May 2024 that I'll be in Singapore at Seamless Bespoke. Timothy will be there. You've got a great team. Wayne is in the shop. Gary, who's your other partner, I believe, will also be there.
Yes.
And Faith, who we will have another chat with soon enough to talk more about our women's line, which is also coming up soon.
So a lot of exciting things coming up for us.
Absolutely. Do you have any questions for us, or do you want to tell something to our listeners about Seamless Bespoke, about the day coming up?
Maybe you can share about some of the styles that you'll be bringing for the upcoming trunk show.
Okay, that's a good one. So the one that I'm most excited to bring is on a new last. Timothy, you've actually had a sneak peek at it because the first time you visited us in Chennai at the factory, you just picked it out of many shoes and said, "I love that shoe. Can you please make me a pair?" At that time, we were still prototyping on the patterns, a little bit of changes on the last as well. That last now we have 5 styles because since then we did launch it in Japan about 3 months ago, and it's been doing phenomenally well for us. So I think you're wearing one of the first pairs. So I would have worn the first pair. You'd probably be wearing the second or the third on that. And you've been wearing it now for almost 4 or 5 months now.
Yes.
It's a kind of classic, not square toe, not a chisel toe, but a very almost an old school design to it, I think. This is the one that we call it the char last for now, that we're going to bring to you. Besides that, we have our Rui last, we have a few new styles, and then the Cordovan collection, that'll be the next kind of highlight. So it's the char last, the Cordovan collection, and the ladies line. That I think would be the highlight for.
Yes, and I love that shoe. I'm very honored to be the second person receiving that, and thank you, my friend, to make a pair for me. It's a really lovely last. I must say, I've quite a few shoes, and it's I don't really have time to spend with much of each pair, but that one is one I go to quite a bit, and it's comfortable, and I really love the English look of it. For me, when it comes to shoes, I'm a bit of an Anglophile. I still love my Crockett & Jones, my Alfred Sargents, my vintage churches, and that pair is really, I can see the inspiration where it comes from, and it's a really nice shoe.
Thank you. You know, our shoemaking and our last kind of design aesthetic is also sort of Anglophile kind of direction. So I can see why you finally chose our brand. Thank you, Timothy. It was great chatting with you this evening. Thank you so much for coming on the call despite your busy schedule. I know we've been trying to connect a few times. I'm glad this finally happened. Thanks very much, and I really look forward to seeing you and the team at Seamless Bespoke in a couple of weeks in Singapore.
Thank you so much, Affan, for the lovely conversation, and I look forward to receiving you when you're back in Singapore. And have a good chat with you and our clients to be fitted by you for a lovely pair of Bridlen made-to-order pair of shoes.
Thanks, Timothy. Take care. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Take care. You too.